Umpire Mag feed, and I can't wait to go across the pond to listen to Across the Pod, fresh out of Wales. Special stuff. Cheers.
Hello everyone, Andy here, and here's what you can look forward to in today's episode. In today's episode, in Team Season Preview 11 out of 32, I was joined by Cincinnati Bengals fan Rory-Jo Daniels as we look ahead to the team's upcoming season. Rory discusses the defensive additions in the offseason.
Unusual. It's not like the Bengals at all.
I look at their offensive line.
But what also feels a bit unusual is for the first time in Burrow's career, he's going into a season where all 5 of the offensive linemen who started are returning the following year.
And Rory assesses how hot Zac Taylor's seat is and predicts their end-of-season record in our win, loss or tie segment. Hope you all enjoy.
That is why this season has been viewed as a sort of a pinch point where, now it has to happen.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. I am, as ever, your host today, Andy Davis, and as you can see from the title, our team in focus today is the Cincinnati Bengals. Now with me, I've got a returning guest. He appeared on last season's season preview and the year before, and the year before, and the year before that. Back on the show is Bengals fan Rory-Jo Daniels. Rory, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's always something I look forward to. It's a good way to focus in on the season, so it's nice to join you again.
Good to have you back on. It's good to talk all things Bengals once again. And speaking of which, heading on to off-season, you re-signed the likes of Orlando Brown, as well as the likes of Jaden Davis and Joe Flacco, whereas you signed in free agency the likes of Boy Math, Brian Cook, Jonathan Allen, and also Kyle Duggar, and you, of course, traded for Dexter Lawrence. In exchange, the Bengals did give away the likes of Noah Fant to the Saints, Joseph Asai to the Jets. The big news out-wise is Trey Hendrickson making a move to the Baltimore Ravens, as well as the likes of Jake Browning going to the Buccaneers, Geno Stone going to the Bills, and Cam Taylor-Britt going to the Indianapolis Colts, and Cam Sample going to the 49ers. In the draft, of course, you gave away that 10th overall pick to trade for New York Giants player Dexter Lawrence, but then you took in the 41st overall pick Cassius Howell, a defensive end out of Texas A&M. You also took the likes of cornerback Tacario Davis, center Connor Lew, wide receiver Colby Young, as well as in the later rounds, Brian Parker II, Jack Endries, and Landon Robertson. Rory, for you, as a Bengals fan, what's your take been on your team's off-season?
Unusual. It's not like the Bengals at all. Usually I'm sat here talking about draft picks only with you. So to have made a splash in the trade market was quite a surprise. And especially to see somebody as high profile as Dexter Lawrence brought in, it was definitely needed. Defensively, they had to get better from what happened last season. Didn't think they would be so aggressive as to pull that off. But I think it's a positive. Obviously, it does. A top 10 pick is something that you shouldn't give away lightly. But at the same time, I don't think this year's draft was probably as strong at the top of the draft as other years, and that's probably why they're inclined to use that pick towards Dexter Lawrence. But I think they think we've got a clear window of opportunity with the offensive players we've got, and that if we could go all in on the defensive side of the ball, then it gives us a strong chance to make a deep playoff run. And I think that was the thinking, and I'm glad to see they've pushed all the chips in. I just hope that we can sort of turn that into victories on the sheet at the end of the season.
Do you think, in a way, it does seem very un-Bengals-like? And there was comments from Joe Burrow late in the season where he talked about it maybe not being fun anymore, or I think the quote was exactly, if I get it up here, it says, "If I want to keep doing this, I have to have fun doing it." And there was people starting to generate noise and think, oh, is he going to request a trade? Is he going to do this? Do you think that Burrow's kind of making his comments about kind of the issues they've had? Do Do you think they had any part to play potentially in them going and getting defense, or do you think that was always going to be part of the plan, whether Burrow made those comments or not?
It's difficult to say. I think as a franchise quarterback, you're always going to have some sort of sway over the team, especially somebody as high profile as Burrow. Whether or not it's directly related, I think it does push the team. I do think they listen to those types of comments. I was surprised. It's not like the Brown family to react in such a way where they do get pushed into doing things like this. So it wasn't something they took lightly. But I think, I think there's been certain flashpoints with Burrow in terms of bringing Orlando Brown in originally because they knew they needed a strong left tackle, and keeping Higgins and Chase together was something that Burrow repeatedly said he wanted to happen. So I think they do listen to it, and if they can make it happen, why would you not? You want to keep your franchise quarterback happy, and now I think they're doing everything they can to not give him an excuse to say, this isn't, it's a typical Bengals as such. So they've broke the mold, and I think Burrow has a big part to play in that.
Yeah, I think that you don't want to be as a franchise looking back and thinking we basically allowed, you could argue, the best quarterback maybe ever to play for the Bengals, or certainly top 3 or top 2, walk away because we've not been a bit adventurous one-off season and paid some money to some players. So I think a player like that, a guy who is, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, so talented, you have to try and keep him happy if you can. And I think I was happy with, I think if I was a Bengals fan, I'd be happy with what happened on defense because it was so often a lot of years, and it was a massive flaw. I remember those Bengals losses in 2024 season where you scored like 30 points in both those games and lost both because the defense just couldn't stop allowing points. And I think, it does feel very un-Bengals like. It's been a franchise that has been notoriously being labelled tight and stingy, certainly the owner, spending the least money out of a lot of teams. But what also feels a bit unusual is, for the first time in Burrow's career, he's going into a season where all 5 of the offensive linemen who started are returning the following year. So, a team that has, Joe Burrow's got the record for the most sacks in any postseason history, and also the most sacks, or joint most sacks, in any Super Bowl. And he's kind of followed his career since. It's no coincidence he's had, 2 or 3 major injury setbacks in his career already in those 5-6 years as a starter in the league. So they've gone out and kept the 5 in a position, in a unit on the field, offensive line, a bit like a back 4 in football, where having the same consistent back kind of set of people makes a huge difference towards the season. So in terms of that, and Burrow having all the offensive linemen back starting again, how much of a benefit do you think that will make to the season, having those 5 players return?
I think it's huge for Burrow. Like I said, we need to keep him upright. That's been the problem. And I think this did, as it got into the second half of last season, we started to see that offensive line actually became a strong point. I'm not going to say it's one of the top ones in the league, because it's not. They are serviceable, and if they can get to sort of middle of the pack, I think that'll be enough to make the Bengals competitive and to be one of the top teams in the AFC. But I think we've got leadership with Ted Karras at centre. His relationship with Burrow's key. Orlando Brown, obviously, I think there was times last season where I was a little bit concerned with Orlando Brown. So that's one to keep an eye on early on. But obviously, he has been a fantastic tackle. As with any position, as he gets older, it's not going to continue at the same level. You just hope that drop off doesn't come this year, really. So, and same with Karras. Karras is getting older, but he has been strong, not elite, but very, very good. And then the younger guys, obviously, that's a massive thing for us. I know Dylan Fairchild really developed at guard. His combination with Brown on the left side actually was the strongest area of the run game. Those two had sort of worked so well together. I think that's something that Chase Brown at running back can take advantage of. And then obviously on the other side, right tackle, Amarius Mims. unbelievable talent. I think he's primed for a breakout. I think the back end of last season, he was phenomenal. It all started clicking into place. He's got the physical attributes. He's got the mental attributes. I think he has the potential to move over to left tackle and replace Orlando Brown eventually, and just be a superstar sort of offensive tackle for the Bengals. And obviously, Dalton Risner's came in, and he is just an absolute warrior. I'm surprised nobody else made a run at him. I thought again, same thing. He didn't break any parts. It wasn't unreal play, but serviceable guards. He's not to be sniffed at in the NFL. Everybody's looking for good offensive linemen. So to have those 5 is a real good thing for Burrow. And I think the other thing is they don't have to be amazing, because Burrow is one of the quickest processors in the league. So you just have to keep him upright enough for Higgins and Chase to get open downfield. Doesn't have to be 2-3 seconds. We just need to make sure we've got nobody coming off the blind side and sort of attacking his ACL like has happened in the past. But yeah, I think it's a good group. I'm a bit worried about the depth. There's a couple of rookies that might have to stand in at some point, but the top 5 are a good offensive line. I think it should be a strong point of the team.
Yeah, and I think it's a really positive move. I think the off-season in general has been really good. You've addressed the defense. You've got guys coming back. You haven't lost, from my memory, any massive names. Obviously, Hendrickson being one example. But that's why you brought in Jamal Stewart, I think, with that in anticipation. Speaking of offense as well, before we get on to my final question, have you watched quarterback this year?
I haven't this year. No, it's not. It's not one of the ones that I've watched. I've sort of seen clips of it and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not one that I've been chock full. With other football on. We've had the World Cup on and stuff. So it's something I might have to visit to whet the appetite for the American football season coming up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with obviously with Joe Flacco being involved in it, and obviously they started off the documentary with him being a Brown, and sort of because he had the Bengals the year before when Joe Burrow was on quarterback, and now you've got basically 2 straight seasons of having Bengals quarterbacks on it. So yeah, it's I won't give too much away. Obviously, what happens in the season, but there's a nice bit where you see Flacco sort of in a pizza bar or pizza restaurant and sort of talking with the locals, just acting like a regular guy. I thought that was really nice. And yeah, just as a Bengals fan, I'm sure you'll really enjoy it. Well, apart from the results on the field, maybe, but you'll certainly enjoy that, I think. And speaking of results on the field, head coach Zac Taylor. Now he is a guy that kind of had joined 2019, had the poor year which got them Joe Burrow, and he's helped them reach a Super Bowl. He's helped them reach the AFC Championship the following year. But it feels like with the players he has and has had in the team, he should have done a lot more with this team. The fact he's been in the league, 7 seasons in total he's been in the league, just 2 playoff campaigns, and they were in back-to-back years that I just mentioned a minute ago. It feels that he's always had that get-out clause as a head coach of, I think the winning this AFC Championship has helped him, give him that credit in the bank. But the fact that, he's always had injury problems every year with quarterbacks, it's kind of given that almost that get out of jail free card. Do you think if Burrow can stay healthy, or even not, I think at this point you might have to look beside just have to look past the injuries that they've had. If you were to have another season without the playoff appearance, when you've got Burrow, you've got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, upgrade on defense, offensive lines improving. Do you think if they could have another 8-win season or miss out on the playoffs altogether, how hot do you think Zac Taylor's seat is?
I think it's pretty hot at this point. I don't think maybe around the league people don't see it like that, but I think that the moves the Bengals have made in the off-season show that they are committed to this window now. This Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, it was important to keep those together. It won't happen forever. They are going to come back up for recontracting, and that is why this season has been viewed as a sort of a pinch point where, now it has to happen, which is why the Dexter Lawrence move took place. It's why they've brought in the likes of Brian Cook to add experience in the secondary, and why obviously they've lost Hendrickson, but they moved for Boye Mafe, Shamar Stewart. We've got Miles Murphy still there. They've invested in that position heavily through the draft and through free agency. I think the point of this off-season was to say, look, we're going to make this as easy as we can for you, but you're going to have to do something as well. And I think Zac Taylor has been a fantastic coach. You can't undermine what he's done for the Bengals. But at the same time, he's a bit more of he's kind of a vibes coach. You know, he's a really good sort of locker room leader. I think that's his strength. He's bringing players together, great atmosphere, great team spirit, great spirit in the city. But I don't think he's kind of an offensive whiz kid like a Shanahan or a Sean McVay. So eventually you have to say to yourself, okay, we've got the talent. Now it needs to get, if we need that bit of wizardry, offensive play calling, then maybe we have to make that change. If it's not happening just on talent alone, then yeah, I think you do have to consider things. But I think they've narrowed it down now. Obviously, we lost Lou Anarumo, got fired, and he was close to Taylor, so it was a big move for Taylor. But that felt like his last sort of, I know, like you said it, like a get out of free jail card. That was he sacrificed Lou. But this now is on him now. He won't be able to say this is due to an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator that wasn't good enough. I think, and the talent, obviously now, the investment in Lawrence, I think all those excuses have run out. So yeah, I think if it's not a deep playoff run this year, I think there's definitely got to be questions asked about it.
Yeah, it does, absolutely. There's kind of, for me, a bit of a Gareth Southgate feel about it. Obviously, Southgate, I think Southgate did more. Obviously, reached 2 finals, where Zac Taylor reached 1 Super Bowl. But it's that thing where kind of it feels like almost a bit like you're wasting a golden generation, if you like, for the Bengals. I mean, they aren't going to have, like you said, they aren't going to have Burrow, Chase, and Higgins available every year unless one of them takes a massive hit and takes a far cheaper salary. They're not going to be all still there in 5 years' time, whether that's via free agency, whether that's via being traded away. So, yeah, they have to kind of act now, and Zac Taylor certainly has to act now, I think, as a head coach, because, like we've been saying, I think this year, another, non-playoff season, I think would seriously affect that. So I think this year is all about, trying to, I think if he can get them to the divisional round, I think that will mean he's got, I think, credit in the bank for the next 2 years. Because let's not forget how long, I've actually forgotten his name, the guy before him, how long he was there, considering how poor it was for a lot of years with Andy Dalton.
Marvin Lewis was it before. And I think that's the thing with the Southgate sort of analogies is true, is because under Marvin, obviously, we had a couple of strong years with Dalton and stuff, but a lot of it was kind of mediocre. So it was the thing with Southgate where before Southgate, it had always been sort of, gone out in group stages or, quarterfinals. So to get somebody that gets you to that point is a big jump. But also, it's a bit like the England decision where eventually you say to yourself, well, is this going to be the guy that gets you over the line? He's done so much to sort of assemble the team and get them to that point. Is it just an X factor that he doesn't have that gets them to a Super Bowl? I'm not sure. Hopefully not. Hopefully he can do it, because I'd love to see him be able to lift the Super Bowl after everything that he has done and the record that he has. To see him and Joe do it together would be the ideal scenario.
I think, yeah, to go from worst in the league to then a few years later hoisting Lombardi would be quite special, and it'll all depend on the end of season record. And this leads us to our final segment, win, loss or tie. For those of you that aren't familiar with this part of the show, each fan that comes on will predict their team's end of season record by going through each game and answering with a simple answer, win, lose or tie. Now, Rory, you came on a year ago to predict 2025's record. The team went 6-11 in 2025. Do you by chance remember what your record prediction was a year ago?
I reckon it was probably 10s or 11s at least. Probably, I thought it was probably a lot more optimistic.
13-4.
Oh my gosh, that's bad, isn't it?
I will say, even no one was expecting a 6-win season. I think if you look at 13-4, that looks bad now. But at the time, no one would have said, "Oh, they're going to win 6 games." Everyone was expecting Burrow to be healthy, and I think people were expecting the very worst to be a 9-win season. I don't think anyone was sitting there thinking they would have 6 wins. But then the injury comes in. I think if you were a Browns fan, for example, and you'd gone for 13-4, you could then go, okay, maybe then. But I think you're about to think 13-4. You got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I think the best 1-2 receiver tandem in the entire league.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit optimistic as a fan as well at this time of year. It's no good going into it already down on your luck. So it's probably going to be something similar again this year.
Well, you start off week 1 at home to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Rory, win, lose or tie?
Win against the Bucs. I think that just opening weekend. There's going to be a lot of excitement at home. Dexter Lawrence introduced. I think it's going to be a win for that one.
So in week 2, we've got the first of back-to-back games on the road. And the first one is a team that appeared on our last season preview, the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I think I'll go win there as well. I think the Texans are very strong defensively as well. But I think there was little chinks in CJ Stroud's armor last year that we might be able to expose again.
Well, week 3 is staying on the road, this time against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Always tough in division, especially against the Steelers. But I think the quarterback difference there is going to be. I'm still not. It's going to be. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's got to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I think it's too long in the tooth. We're going 3-0 to start the season.
Love it. Well, week 4, you take on back at home the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I don't want to get too carried away, so we're going to put a loss in there against Jacksonville. I think they've come on a lot. Trevor Lawrence is finally realising that potential, and I think we might just stumble there, even though we're at home.
Well, week 5 is essentially a gimme. You've got a road game against the Dolphins.
Yeah, you would hope, wouldn't you, that I will put this down as a win. 4-1, that'd leave us. And I think, to be honest, you tell me, Andy, but I think Miami would be happy if we beat them. Is that not the point this season? Are we?
Yeah, I'm not against having a bad season. Obviously, you don't want that as a fan, but I think if you started the season 3-1. You'd be like, okay, maybe. But if we start the season 0-4, and then at that point, like, well, 0-4, we're not going to make the playoffs. We're not going to win the Super Bowl, certainly. So I think it depends. I think it often depends how your season starts. But I'm not expecting to go into that Week 5 game with any sort of winning record at that point. I think the best we can hope for might be a 2-2 record at that point. But I'm not incredibly hopeful of a good season. I think Malik Willis might be like a shining light. Same with like Devon A-Chain. But I think apart from that, who else have we got? I mean, the receiver room is absolutely garbage. Might be a receiver by committee room, but literally it's A-Chain and everyone else. It's a bit of a one-man team when it comes to the offense, certainly.
Yeah. I mean, for us, you've got to hope that you do things like that. But I mean, funny things happen on the road. They're never easy games. But yeah, we would hope to go into the bye week on a strong win there.
Well, as you said just then, week 6 is a bye. So week 7, you're back on the road in a AFC North battle, taking on the Ravens.
Yeah, I'll give this one to the Ravens. Because we're at their patch. I think they always seem to be tight. Back and forth between Burrow and Jackson, it is fantastic TV unless you're a fan, obviously, and it's a nail biter. But I think it'd be close, 2 or 3 points in it. But yeah, I'll sneak it to the Ravens.
Well, then, week 8 is a game back at home for the first time since week 4. You take on the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I'll give us the win against the Titans, but I don't think it'd be easy as obviously playing them this year was for a lot of teams. I think Cam Ward might take a leap. Things will start to slow down for him in his second year, and I do rate him as a player, but I think we should be too strong for him. We should have hit our stride, and we want to bounce back from a Ravens loss that I've just given us as well.
Well, then, week 9, you are heading to España as you travel to Madrid and take on the Atlanta Falcons at the Santiago Bernabéu Stadium.
Yeah, it's a really tricky one to call just because of the whole the situation, really, isn't it? It's a proper leveler for both sides. So I think I'll go for the win for the Bengals just because there's a lot up in the air still with the quarterback position, Penix Jr. I think we'll have to be careful with Bijan Robinson for them, obviously such a threat. But yeah, it'd be nice to see the international fans, and obviously there'll be a lot of UK fans will make the trip for that one. So yeah, we've got to give them the win there and keep our guys over here happy.
And will you be one of the UK fans going over?
I don't think so this time. No, I would love to go, but yeah, no, it's just a little bit too far for me, that one. So, but I'll be enjoying watching it, and I know plenty of fans that will be going to make that trip. So yeah, no, it'd be good to see them get the chance to play in Europe again.
And hopefully for those fans who go to the game this year, it won't rain as much as last year. I've never seen rain as bad as my life as when I went to watch the Dolphins game last year. Not on the day itself, but I remember there was a day before. There was like a fan park. Anton Griezmann was on stage weirdly with Dan Marino just before him, and it was so bad weather-wise you just couldn't really enjoy it. And then I remember there was a meet and greet with Ryan Tannehill in like some sort of sports shop, but the rain was that bad. And there was a massive queue. There was no chance I was queuing for Ryan Tannehill, first of all, in that rain. So I'm hoping for those fans who go to the fan event this year, who go to the games, that the weather can be a bit nicer. Although I'm not sure it can be any worse than what it was last year, because that was an abomination. Week 10, you head back to the States, and this time you host for the second time this season, and the last time potentially against Aaron Rodgers, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Now, usually it would go with another win here, but I'm going to drop another loss in because obviously I don't want to be too favourable after last year's abomination. So I will drop another loss in. At this point in the season, we're well in. Rodgers could have, he might be sat on the bench. He might be injured at this point. We could be facing off against Will Howard, Drew Aller, one of those two QBs. Who knows? But I think the travelling, being in Europe, coming off the back of that, very difficult to keep it rolling. And maybe perhaps we just underestimate the Steelers. And yeah, we just drop an L there. And sometimes it happens, doesn't it? Against when you're not expected to.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. Week 11, you're back on the road, this time facing the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, again, go on. Let's put another. We'll put another loss in there. Commanders. I think if Jaden Daniels is back to full health, very dangerous. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I could say. I don't rate him massively, but I think he's a threat enough in himself. Just away from home, it's easy to go through these games and just be like win, win, win. But you kind of have to think where the troubles might be. And I think on the road against the mobile QB, there are always games that you sort of just have to circle and say they could be more difficult than they look on paper.
Well, week 12, you're at home to the Saints.
Yeah, I'll take that one as a win. The Saints, I think for once, the Saints might be just about turning things around. I think they maybe found a QB that has a bit of talent that they could get behind, and financially, I think they're coming out of a bit of a tough spot and starting to build the right way. But yeah, I think we should still be too strong for them. And obviously, we're getting to the business end of the season. Everybody's sort of concentrating on playoff football. So yeah, I think we'll be zoned in and get the win there.
Well, week 13 is your first game this year against the Browns, and this one is on the road.
Yeah, I'll go win again. Obviously, having the Browns so late in the season twice could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, but hopefully they haven't got a lot to play for by this point already, and sort of just heaping on the misery. So yeah, we'll go for a win there.
Well, week 14, this one I'm very excited for. This one is been a bit of a rivalry in recent years, and there's a bit of hatred. Or at least there was a bit of hatred between the two teams. You take on the Chiefs at home.
Yeah, I'm going to give us a win here. This would have obviously been an easy one to peg up as a loss because they're a talented team and they've done so well over the previous years. But I do feel like they're not the team they were. I mean, it might be that might be the kiss of death that I've just given there. But I just don't feel like, everybody's a little bit older. Mahomes has had the injury. Kelsey's older. I don't feel like they've replaced players maybe to that level, or they've got players in that can hit those heights. And obviously they're breaking in rookies at cornerback, and that's something that's always difficult. Obviously the Bengals are aware we've done that. We've had our issues sort of getting a young secondary to develop. So yeah, I think we could beat them. I think it'll be a close game, but I fancy us against the Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs might just have a bit of a down year maybe.
Well, week 15, you are on the road to the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna do a loss here because, and this purely because there's going to be no sort of analysis into it, but it just always happens. When you have that sort of high, that emotional high of knocking off the Chiefs, you can just imagine going in and just completely falling flat against the Panthers and thinking all that effort that went into the game planning for the Chiefs sort of undone by losing to a team you don't expect to lose to. So that's why I did get the L there.
That wouldn't surprise me if I'm honest. I will say. Week 16 is your final road game of the regular season as you take a trip to Indianapolis.
Yeah, Colts. Yeah, I think we'll take the win there. It's not far to travel, and I think like we said, once you get to the business end of the season, you expect Burrow to be in sort of no business to mess around. I think he'll be zoned in right, and I think we should have hit our stride by this point, and it will knock the Colts off.
Well, hopefully Burrow is still on the field at this point.
Yes, yeah, better be.
Well, week 17 is now straight up back-to-back divisional games, and the first one is on New Year's Eve. Now, this is on at 8:20 p.m. in the US, so this will be on post your midnight Auld Lang Syne chant. It's a home game against the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm going to give us the win because I gave them the win earlier. So I don't think we'll lose 2 to the Ravens. Again, very close. Fantastic that time to do it on New Year's Eve. I think it'd be a big game. It's just got fantastic sort of spectacle written all over it. But yeah, we'll go and win a tight one.
Yeah, if that game's starting at 8:20 and it goes to overtime, you could get a situation where someone, I don't know, let's say Jamar Chase catches for a touchdown, or Derrick Henry runs in for like a 50-yard touchdown as the clock hits midnight. There's a chance that could happen if you get like a little bit of a big injury, delays time a bit, and then you get to overtime. So 3.5 hours gone, that would be 8:50. You could make it a 4-hour game if things happen certain ways. Yeah. So that would be incredible. Imagine if you're like I don't know, you are like a gathering in America if you're a Ravens or Bengals fan, and you're there saying Happy New Year as you're winning, what could be a game to win the division as well. You never know.
Yeah.
That will be cinema, absolute cinema. I don't think we've seen that before, so that would be cool if that happens. I will say.
Yeah, you can imagine it, can't you? The sort of as the clocks chime, then Chase making a big catch in the end zone on a 50-yard touchdown pass from Burrow. I can see it now.
Oh yeah, and if that does happen, then I promise you we're not part of the script for the season. So the final week is at Pikel Stadium once again, and this time you take on the Cleveland Browns. Now, for the final time this episode, Rory, win, lose or tie.
Right, so tell me, Andy, I presume you've been totting up. What are we on now?
So you're going into this game with an 11-5 record.
11-5. Yeah, we're gonna go for the win. Yeah, we're gonna finish strong. 12-5. I think beating the Ravens gives us the upper hand, but we might still need just this one. And I think the Browns will be checked out to be on the beach at this point and thinking about the draft. So we'll put a nice, easy victory together, secure the division, and head into the playoffs with a bit of confidence.
And if that is the case, 12-5 make the playoffs. How far are you predicting your team will go in the postseason?
I think we could go all the way. I'm going to predict a Super Bowl win this year. It is the first time in a while where I've gone in feeling confident. I know there's still a lot of ifs and buts. I'm not sure about the linebackers are still young. There's still a lot of young players in the secondary, but I just think Dexter Lawrence if he's mentally in the right place and he's as sharp as we've seen him be, it's such a huge addition. And the fact that you can have him on one side of the ball, Chase, Higgins, and Burrow on the other, we should. And obviously, if the offensive line stays healthy, I think we've got a real good chance. So I'd at least hope to get to the conference championship and Super Bowl appearance. I think should be the aim at least.
That would be good. I'm not gonna lie. A brand new winner of the Super Bowl, and it's not the Bills. So all round, I'll be very happy if that was the case. That is where we'll end the show for today. So Rory, first of all, a massive thanks for coming on once again today.
Thanks for having me. I always enjoy coming on. So yeah, it's been really good to talk it through and go away with some confidence now going into the season.
Before it gets to week 3 and you're 0-3.
Yeah, no, just in bits.
That is the end of the show. That has been our Cincinnati Bengals 2026 season preview, team season preview 11 or 12 out of 32. I have been, as ever, your host today, Andy Davis, with our guest in Bengals fan, writer for the touchdown, Rory-Jo Daniels. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.